This video is sponsored by the Design Mechanism, the makers of Mythras. Mythras is a registered trademark of the Design Mechanism Inc., used with permission, all rights reserved. And so it begins. Yes, hello everyone. Hello, welcome. It's Saturday night, which means it is, of course, Mythras night with the Mythras crew, the gaggle of players, the murder of players, the group of players. Welcome to the Mythras world, a fantasy role-playing game that is all based on the percentile dice. Characters have skills rather than classes. They have hit point locations instead of total hit points, and they dabble in magic via spells and magic points rather than casting set number of spell levels per session. We've left the party just about to start on a voyage down a series of sewer tunnels. But before I tell you where they're going and where they're going to try to end up, I'm going to allow the players an opportunity to say who they are and who they will be playing tonight. Off you go.
Before I start, I just want to say how disappointed I am in using my my super thing in the chat. I've just used it then. 2,000 points. Don't think anything happened. Nothing at all.
No, do you not get it as a...
Is it just a badge?
Do you not get it as a...
My lord, I've wasted. Mistakes have been made. Hi guys, I'm Chugger. I play Gulliver, the youngest member of this motley crew. He's a apprentice sorcerer, skilled in the art of magic. He is a member of the Order of the Kraken, which is the blue order. Spells revolve around communication, transportation, teleportation. He also has various cantrips based on the folk magic school in Mythras. As a sorcerer, he is able to provide a number of beneficial spells to the party. He can alter the components of them as well. He can change range, magnitude, number of targets that they will affect. He can even combine several spell castings into a single cast. Recently, he was injured in the battle with the necromancer himself. Took a very nasty wound to his leg. The power of Amriel was not able to save it fully. Well, the power of Mr. Bartleby wasn't able to save it. Probably a higher level priest might have been able to do more good, but you know, you live with what you've got, don't you, really? So yeah, he does walk with a bit of a limp, and doesn't get round as fast as the other members of the party. And seeing he has his mic unmuted, I am going to pass it on to him.
Oh, thanks, Triggerwigger.
Well, if you looked at Zoom, you would know that you're the only person that...
Hi guys, I'm Longshanks TPG, and tonight I'm playing the character Hengist. He is also not a native Lindo, travelling across the sea with Gulliver and Captain Seatide and a few others who have now since left and gone on their separate ways. He originally went to Lindo to search for his sister, almost found her. She was there in the same room, and Then she decided to walk off with a barbarian on her arm into a magical portal, and he hasn't seen her since, and the leads have sort of dried up at the moment. But he's back in Lindo with Bartleby, Gulliver, and Hazra, and he has purchased himself into the gentry of Lindo now, so living it up in the lordly manner that he has now, in the posh area. He is a warrior by trade, wearing heavy armour, which is made out of iron and sort of like enamelled in green, with his family's crest of a rearing white horse across his chest and shield. He fights with a longsword, which he can either use one-handed or two-handed, although he mostly uses it in his sword and shield combination. And currently, he is dressed up as a pirate captain, and he is paddling a little barge thing in the sewers of Lindo with this group. And I will pass it on to Mr. Pickles because he was scratching his ear.
My cat is trying to break out of a border we have, and she doesn't get along well with the other cats. That's why I'm flinching at the door every once in a while. Anyways, I am Mr. Pickles. I play Bartleby Fumus, who was once an entertainer, but failed at that due to some bandits' intervention. Became a priest of Amriel, the light moon goddess that generally gives positivity, vague visions, and goodness overall. Bartleby specializes in miracles and spells, or as he calls them, his prayers, that generally have healing effects or reducing people's fatigue, giving energy, preventing disease and poison from destroying people, protective spells, repairing things. Bartleby's also our group's historian, knowing a bit about the local history of Lindo and Odes, as well as knowing a lot about monsters that maybe shouldn't exist. And he is also friend of the guards. That's Bartleby. Passing on to you, Medevac.
Why, thank you, Mr. Pickles. I'm Medivac and I play Hazrat Khan. He's a nomad. He's from the northern steppes of Odes, so he's from this continent. He uses a short spear and a scimitar, and he's very proficient with them. He's normally seen wearing a full quilted grey padded armour. It's just, so it blends into the forest as he goes through it. A place which is perfectly at home in the forest. He loves it out there. He's very uncomfortable in the cities. His tracking skills are below par when he's in a city. He doesn't know how people react. He's used to being very solitary, but he's in with this group here who is, he's like to think he's adopted them as his tribe, seeing as he lost his own. He's very good at survival, foraging, generally keeping alive while out there. And with that, I shall pass on to Will.
Thank you very much. So the party are currently trying to shut down the leader of the Thieves Guild, a character called Sniffer. They double-crossed him. They went up against him. He took their revenge on the party, then the party are now taking the revenge on Sniffer. And rather than killing him because he would be replaced, the plan has been to start to shut down some of his dealings, some of his trades, try to identify some of the key workers in that sort of like market and sell his goods and try to sort of like stop the flow of trade. So people lose lose trust in Sniffer, and then things will go against him and maybe to a more safer and legal Lindo. So the party have intercepted some cargo. Last week it was a very interesting session when Hengist and Bartleby went down into the Saggy Mermaid, I think it was, and they acted out the part of two people from the ship. It nearly went completely wrong, but luckily it was pulled back from the brink. And while that happened, Hazra and Gulliver sought out where the cargo was being stored. Then after they had got the location of where the cargo needs to go, which I think Bartleby has got on what appears to be a piece of pigskin, they went to the entrance of the sewer where they dispatched a couple of guards inside and some people outside, I think, and then they took over the raft. And the idea is to sail the raft through the sewers to the point when they're going to exchange the goods with the merchant. Whether or not they decide to kill the merchant, burn the goods, pass it over, is still in the lap of the gods. Nobody exactly knows what's going to happen yet, but the party are ready to do that, and they're already on the piece of the map, as you can see. So this here, what appears to be the table is their raft. And you can see from the raft that there's 2 crates on the table, and those are the 2 crates of goods. I do believe somebody tried to prise open the crates and failed. They seem to be quite well bolted down or nailed down, so the party haven't got any idea what's actually on them. There's 2 long poles that seem to have some kind of leather on the end, and they quickly recognize that these are to punt the raft through the sewers. Bartleby is up at the front, crouched down or kneeling down at the front of the raft with pigskin in hand, ready to guide them. And then Gulliver is perched on top of the crate, and then Hazra and Hengist are at the back with the poles punting them along. Now, before we go any further, just for some clarification, I think I showed you all that picture beforehand to sort of like give you some idea of where you're actually going and what it's going to be like. So you've got that as a picture. The other thing is, I can't remember whether or not anybody had any light with them.
I believe we had 2 sources of light, and the candle.
All right. So, and the lantern is where? Is that with Gulliver on the top, or?
Yeah, we'll have it on the top of the barge. Okay,
that's cool. And then where's the candle going to? Is a candle up at the front with you?
I was hoping to use it to help read the pigskin in this darkness.
Got ya. That sounds absolutely fantastic. Right, I'm not going to put any of those on. So, Hazra and Hengist, are you going to be the boating and steering people?
Yes.
Okay, so I presume you're both going to do it, or just one of you?
I know both do it.
Both doing it. Okay then, so you two have a choice. You both should have boating skills.
Yeah.
So you can either, and it's up to you which way you want to do it, you can either combine them, in which case one of them will augment the other and you'll just do one skill roll. Or if you wish, you can roll them separately and therefore trying to coordinate it in order to push the barge forward. Mr. Bartleby, do you have a skill that you were going to use to sort of like guide your way through this?
I think we settled on an insight roll last time because it's intelligence and power.
Yeah, sounds a good idea. So that will be sort of like the insight roll. So that's like you sort of like moving, trying to keep everything in an organized direction. So just to let you know, any time that you fail your role, Mr. Bartleby, it won't be a case that you sort of like misdirect people. You'll just add to the length of time,
Gotcha.
if that makes sense. So it is a sewer. You're not going to get lost and trapped somewhere, but it will be a case that it will take you a little bit longer to get to the actual meeting point. Okay, so I've moved you, all your characters. So when you get there, just make sure that you're that you can move your characters. I've moved you onto a straight section of the on the map. So just to let you know, this the water that you can see as you sort of like look over the sides, it is very much sort of like very murky. You would hope that it's more brownish, but it appears to be more greenish. There seems to be a high content of, say, algae or plant matter in there. It's a very organic sewer stream, should I say. Just to let you know that on the map, the water does actually go right the way up to these 2 points either side, if that makes sense. So this pavement and this pavement, that is the outside. If you are on there, then you're absolutely fine. Inside, anything in between that is this gunk. But you'd be pleased to know, Hengist, that it is not deep enough to drown in. If you were to fall in, it'll probably go up to your waist, maybe a little bit higher, but that will be it. You can actually stand on it. And Hazra and Hengist, you know this from punting your poles in and then pulling it back out. You can tell how deep it actually is. However, you do notice that every time you sort of like pull the poles out, that there seems to be some kind of green slime stuff that sort of like clings to the poles as you pull them up on either side. The other thing that you notice is that there is a slight current. It seems to be going from the right of the map to the left. Okay, so you always seem to be punting into the current. Hence why if you stopped for any amount of time, it wouldn't sort of like go woof and sort of like pull you down the way. But there you can see that there's various things floating by. You can also, just to give you the full experience, there seems to be that awful dripping noise all the time. It's either dripping on the side or it's dripping into the water, and because of the circular tunnel, it tends to be echoing quite a lot. It's not sort of like going drip 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 drip. It's almost like going bloop bloop like that every now and again. You do notice that's the pathways, the pavement side of things look very wet and very glistening in the light as you sort of like make your way down, and you figure that they're probably either very wet or very slimy, one or the other. The smell down here is stiflingly organic. This is definitely a sewer. It's definitely got living things in it, i.e. the algae and the plant life, and it's obviously flourishing in the dark, damp conditions. You do see every now and again things floating down past you. And in a second, I'll ask somebody to roll a dice for me so I can tell you what exactly you see. Hazra and Hengist, you sort of like, you notice that sure as you put your poles down to the bottom, the pole slightly slips a bit, and then you suddenly realize why it's got this leather over the end. They've obviously done this before, and this allows you to have a solid grip on the actual curved floor. Now and again you have to put your poles out to the side and just to gently steer the raft so you get it in the middle. You do notice that if it drifts to the either end, there's a bit of a grate and it slowly comes to a halt. So first up, is there anything that you guys want to do or anything you need to tell me before you set off?
Before we go, Gulliver wants to be positioned on the crates, but he wants to be closer to Bartleby if possible.
Yeah,
Sort
you
of
can
maybe on this front one, just so that he's in talking distance. He doesn't, so that he can keep it in hushed tones.
Okay. Anybody else have anything that they wish to do?
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
Being at the front, Bartleby wants to pray for protection in case minor injuries occur, because I presume his shield would have run out by now.
Yes, yeah, it only lasts for the gaming scene. So if you put anything on now, it will last until a scene finishes.
Okay. This is my prayer to Amriel, and here is my roll.
Yeah, nice. Is that going on yourself, I presume?
Yeah, since I'm up front, I want to make sure if any arrows come out, they hit me and I'm protected, I guess.
Yeah, so you're working on point there. So when you get hit, if you get hit, sorry, not when, then remember to reduce the damage by 1d3 points if it hits you, but only if it hits you. Okay, anyone else want to do anything else before we set off?
Not that I can
All
think of.
good.
No, brilliant. Okay then, so Mr. Bartleby, would you roll for me your insight roll? Oh, remember, luck has replenished people. Yeah, but not magic points. Yeah, but not magic points.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes.
Not bad.
Nice. So you set off, and there seems to be throughout this, there seems to be side tunnels moving on. Sometimes the tunnel itself curves, and you sort of like got the light, and you're sort of like keep moving the pigskin, which is just sort of like a series of lines. It seems to have the main path through, and then when you come to a junction, the other lines are just sort of like little ones. Does that make sense to you? So, so it's sort of like this might be it, and then it just sort of like it looks a bit like that, and then you know that the main path sort of like goes round. You don't take any of these turns, so you start to navigate quite confidently down the tunnel. So Hazra and Hengist, what are you doing? Are you combining your roles, or are you augmenting each other, or just doing it separately?
Well, the first thing you notice when you look at Hazra is the fact that his eyes are flitting left and right. He's got a bit of a nervousness about not being able to see the sky. So he'll lean towards Hengist and say, "Hengist, my friend, if you steer, I will lend my aid to you."
Cool. Okay. So what would be your
23, so that's gonna be 5, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you guys have the augment button?
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah, so Hengist, you add on 5 to your boating, which is a skill that we don't use all the time.
I haven't used it for a very long time since we went off to You Bin Fools.
So let's have a look and see how much. Yeah, and you sort of like both Hengist and Hazra, you sort of like, obviously Hazra's really put off that he can't see the sky because he's normally out and about in the countryside, and yet again he's been forced underground. And Hengist, you're still sort of like trying to get used to this pole a lot more used to rowing, and you notice that the raft keeps coming to one side and bashing one side, then the other side, and there's also these jolts every now and again, and you feel that you're not making a huge progress forward, and there seems to be some slowness as it goes. Mr. Bartleby, you're at the front, so could you just roll for me, please, a 1d10, and let's see what actually comes down the thing. And number 6. Okay then, so you're sort of like moving your self along. Could Bartleby and Gulliver, what I'm going to do with this, Hazra and Hengist, your perception rolls will do level with the raft and behind the raft. Gulliver and Bartleby, your perception rolls will do the front and sides of the raft. So number 6 is coming from the front. So Bartleby and Gulliver, make your perception rolls for me, please. Bartleby, you're probably looking down at the map and trying to figure out which way to go, and so you don't actually see this, but Gulliver, you do, and there seems to be, I'm just drawing it on now so you can see it, there seems to be almost like a puddle of green. It seems to be floating, and it appears to be some kind of vegetation. It's definitely floating on the top of the water. It doesn't look a lush green. It looks a quite murky green, and I mean it almost looks like it's a plant that is floating on top of the water. You do notice, Gulliver, as you see it, that it seems to be moving with the current. Okay, so it is slowly moving towards you. He doesn't appear, what was your roll? 40, made it on a hard scale. It doesn't appear to be under any movement by itself.
So what sort of size would you say it was?
Well, exactly as it is on the, I think the...
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the actual skill, the map should be. Yeah, it's about 4
meters by.
Yeah, it seems to be occupying the centre rather than the edges, and it just seems to be undulating now and again as it and as I say, it seems to be moving with the current.
Okay, so the first thing that Gulliver's going to say is he's going to go, Bartleby, what's that ahead of us in the water?
What's that? I'm gonna look around while kind of trying to get back to my pigskin. What are you trying to point out?
Yeah, and you once Gulliver's pointed it out and you sort of like look up, you can now see it floating on the top, and you can see what I described beforehand.
Well, I'm not really sure I can say what that is, Gulliver. I can tell you a story of various monsters who had lived down in the sewers, of which I presume that might be similar, things that pull people down to the depths. I don't think it's one of those.
We're going to hit it if we're not careful. Have we got anything to push it to one side with so that we can get... Or do we ram it?
I mean, it doesn't look hard. Shouldn't it just kind of spoof right under?
I don't think it's going to move. Doesn't look like it's the type of thing that's going to move. It's moving.
Maybe we should get Hazard and Hengist involved in this. They're the ones who are able to move things. I mean, all I have is this pigskin.
And at that point, when you're busy discussing, it slowly gets closer and closer, and then it's almost like directly in front of you. And as it continues to move forward, and of course Hengist and Hazra are still punting from the back, it hits the front of the raft, and you suddenly see that it starts to part, as if you're pushing through something. Bartleby, you can see it a lot closer now, and it seems to be some kind of slime. It seems to have what appears to be stalks sticking out of it at random places, and you can see how it undulates, that it's not actually below the water at all. It's exactly floating on, and as the raft sort of like pushes into it, it sort of like quite naturally parts, and you notice, Bartleby, because you're at the front, as it parts, it's a bit like pulling some kind of woolen fabric to separate it. It also almost like looks like rhizomes, some kind of fungal matter, as it sort of like stretches out, and it looks extremely fibrous. And you also notice that as it starts to go by, these little stalks seem to have small spherical heads on them. You figure there's about 20, just having a quick look, 20 to 50 of these small circular spheres on the little mounts. So now that it's sort of like come onto the barge, it's now looking more like this, as you're sort of like pushing your way through it. And Hazra and Hengist, you now see it coming from the sides, so you actually pick it up now from this point and this point here, and you can see that you seem to be pushing through something.
What is this? Why did you not say go around it?
It was blocking the way. There was no way that we were going to get around it all. It was too big.
You now notice, Bartleby, that you seem to be out of it at the front, but you do see on either side now, it's almost like passed by, if that makes sense. So it looks a bit like this. And the first thing that Hengist and Hazra, could you just make for me a perception roll? You can see it. I just want to see whether or not you notice anything. Does anybody want to luck anything there?
Yes, I'll swap.
No.
I'll use my one and only luck point and swap it.
Okay then. So you notice, Hengist, that it's no longer moving past the raft. It seems to almost have like made connection to the actual raft, and it's not sort of like going past. It's not as if you've pushed through it and it's flowing back. It seems to have sort of like congealed or attached itself somehow to the raft, and now it looks exactly like in the picture. You seem to have these two sort of like pillion passengers on either side.
It seems to have attached itself to the sides now, and Hengist will say to everyone, and then with his pole he's going to gingerly kind of like try and see if he can push it off the side of the boat, because he's thinking it's going to get stuff can maybe slow us down and cause more
Yeah,
drag.
by all means. What did you have a certain skill that you would like to use?
Fungal removal. It's just a
Fungal,
good
yeah,
fun.
fungal remover.
I think it's
Sludge
professional.
removing. I was thinking athletics, because he's trying to do it without falling off, basically.
Okay then.
There isn't acrobatics. But
Okay
that's
then.
not right. So he's trying to sort of like poke it without leaning too far and losing the pole and doing it quickly. And
Okay, yeah. So roll your athletics. Yeah, and well, you sort of like pull your pole out of the water, and you sort of like put it at this point here, and you sort of like put it down and sort of like try to scrape it off or move it away from the raft. And you sort of like get your pole into it and you move it slightly, and you notice that it sort of like comes away from the raft. And as you pull your pole back to you, you suddenly notice that it's attached itself to your pole. And it's a bit like, you know, if you stick something down in the water, then as you pull it up, it sort of like clings to it and drapes off it, and you sort of like it comes away, and a little bit of it, not all of it, sort of like a little bit of it has attached itself to your pole, and it sort of like covers the end as you pull it up out of the water. And it is now at this point that both Hazra and Hengist, you see these green spherical objects on top of these little stalks. And Hengist, as you sort of like pull it out, you hear this microscopic sort of like that, as you notice that one of the spherical balls just goes and it just bursts. Okay, and it's tiny, it's only about this big in its diameter, and it just goes like that. And you notice that there's there seems to be almost like some kind of yellow dust or grey dust. It's not bright yellow, it seems to be dark and murky yellow. Just goes like that, and just sort of like starts to float around. It's not a huge amount. It's only sort of like, I mean, the little spherical object was only this, and it just goes and so sort of like dissipates. Yeah, what would you like to do?
How high did the puff of stuff go? Was it sort of like just above the surface?
Yeah, just
much higher than that. So
just like, literally just at the surface of the water. It didn't dissipate into a huge cloud or anything like that.
But maybe, Hengist, if we use the poles to push the raft against the sides of the walls, it may scrape it off our boat.
That seems a good idea, Hazra. Let's try that this time. It seems to have a thing that sort of like some sort of puff thing, like seeds popping or something like that. So just beware.
Could I use my nature knowledge? Would I have seen anything like this before out and about in the wilds, in the marshes?
Yeah.
The survival?
Yeah. Do you have any? Do you have law nature at all?
I don't. Sadly,
okay, so
no.
roll survival then. Yeah. The only thing this looks like some kind of floating fungus. Normally, the fibrous content of a fungus would be underground in the all the rhizomes would be underground, and then this looks very much like as if this some kind of spores are popping up. You think it's probably some kind of water fungus. That's the closest you get. I mean, it is quite weird that it looks like this.
Gulliver wants to be when he's sat on the top of these boxes. He wants to be fumbling with his backpack. He wants to take it off, and he wants to get his torch from it.
Yeah. Okay then. So while Gulliver's doing that, Hazra and Hengist, do you want to try to push this boat to one of the sides to try to scrape it off?
Yeah, that's the idea.
Okay then. So off you go, Hengist. Don't forget you're still augmented by Hazra's boating skills as well. Right. Yeah. So you start to maneuver the raft. Would you like to go towards Hazra or towards yourself? Which side of the bank are you going to?
It's probably going towards my side first.
Okay then. So you move the thing sort of like up against the side, and you sort of like. You were planning on doing this quite gently, I assume, but
yes, very gently.
But you fail miserably, and you sort of like almost like side ram the side, probably a little bit too of a hefty push on the pole, and you sort of like hit this side with quite a force. Everybody on the raft goes poof, like this. You don't need to roll athletics roll yet. It's not that big of a jolt. But what you do hear instantly, and everybody hears it at this point, you hear sort of like, boop, you hear like this, and all these, everything down that side goes poof, 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 like this, and you see this sort of like low-hanging spores just above the rhizomic plant life. It just goes like that. And could you all make perception rolls for me, please?
Gulliver got 73 out of 62.
Yeah, let me just have...
Angus got 66 out of 41.
Okay, so Hazra, you're the only person that notices this, and probably because you're used to being out and about, that you suddenly smell a very sweet smell. It's almost like it's like nectar, some kind of pheromone that is incredibly sweet, and it almost like it's in stark contrast to the stale air, and you sort of like know instantly that it's emanated from these popping things, and there doesn't seem to be any spores in the air, but there definitely seems to be this sweetness.
I'll relay that. These things seem to be emanating some sweet smell. Cover your mouths if need be, but try not to breathe it in that much.
Gulliver's going to sort of like put his head over his mouth and his nose. He's going to say, "Somebody, put your hand over your nose."
In Bartleby's healer's kit that he purchased, would he have like bandanas or anything, or something to try and prevent airborne illness while you're treating diseased people?
You probably got some kind of material in there that you would use for bandages or something that you can probably use. You could maybe hand them out if
that's what I wanted to do.
Okay then, so you hand them back to everybody. You notice that the green stuff is still on the other side of the raft. Hengist and Hazra, do you want to keep the raft over at this side, or is the plan now to put it more back into the middle?
We'll probably try and push it off into the middle now, because we're not going to get anywhere.
Okay then.
Well, why not try to clear this side as well? Otherwise, because there's more on my side.
Well, let's get into the middle first, and then we can see what, because we don't know if we've got rid of the stuff on this side first.
Okay, you're the one who's doing the work. I'm just trying to help here.
Okay, then. So Hengist, roll your boating skill. So you sort of like was aiming from the middle, but Hazra's, your dream comes true because the boat suddenly ricochets over to the other side. And again, there seemed to be this, it sort of like scrapes along the edge, and everybody sort of like holds on a bit as it sort of like alters slightly. And then you hear this telltale as it goes. And this, now that you've all got bandanas over your faces, you can still smell this sweetness. And it seems that once it's all popped, then this mat of plant matter just sort of like slowly sinks out of the way and sort of like leaves you just with this sweet smell and nothing else.
Can Gulliver make a perception check to see whether or not there's any sort of like dust or anything that's landed on his clothing or
by all means,
anything like that?
Do you wish to use a point of luck? No, there seems to be no.
I don't know what he's looking for, really, to be honest.
It doesn't. There doesn't look like there's anything on either the bandanas or the or your clothing or anything like that at all.
Have you ever seen anything like that before, Bartleby?
Like,
you spent a lot of time in the slums.
well, yeah, but I'm more treating people than, seeing firsthand how they got infected. And a lot of the treatments I do aren't really for fungus. Well, it's sometimes fungus, but not this kind of fungus, if you follow what I mean.
I just thought that maybe, because, well, when I used to live in a town, we used to look for things that used to come out of the sewers, things that had fallen in. And if this thing's floating around, that maybe some of the less fortunate people in Lindo might have also been doing the same. And if so, if they'd got too close to one of these, then it would have maybe blown and and put that stuff on them, and they might have gotten infected by someone, and then you would have ended up treating them.
Well, that is a valid point. Actually, I didn't think about it like that. I just don't usually ask questions as much. I just offer healing. I think perhaps once we're done here, we should take your advice and make sure that we all go to the Church of Amriel to get cleansed.
Okay, so you.
So what's the plan if we see another one of those?
More of the same. It seemed to do as I predicted. We went over it. It went to the sides. And...
No, if you see another one, we try to go around it. If it's coming towards us, maybe we can just keep it on one side and go that way, rather than going through and encasing us all in these spores.
Okay, right. If we see another one, I'll try to look to see what, because that last one was sort of like right in the middle, and it was pretty big. It was like at least a meter across. But if we see another one, I'll see whether or not I can tell which ways there's more of a gap down the side, and we'll go down that way.
So you, Hengist and Hazra, you eventually managed to get the raft back into the middle, and you notice that down both sides, this plant material has disappeared altogether. You still got your bandanas over your faces, but that you're no longer smelling that sweet smell at all. And you've been going about 30 minutes. Can
Gulliver use a bit of time to talk to Bartleby?
Yes, by all means.
If we've got sort of like a gap, so he's going to be speaking in more of a hushed tone. I mean, the others can probably hear him as well, but his questions are directed primarily at Bartleby. I'm not hiding my voice so anybody else can't hear, but I'm going to try to keep it low. He's going to say, Bartleby, Do you think Sniffer's an intelligent man?
I guess that depends on how you define intelligence. I mean, he's going against the greater good. I'd say that's pretty much not an intelligent move.
But he's trying to get rid of us. He doesn't want us in Lindo.
Sure.
And why doesn't he want us in Lindo?
Because of the guild mistress. We kind of messed with his plans to get people installed here who'd be more favorable to him. Therefore, we were kind of threats. If he was smart, he'd ruin our reputations and get the people of Lindo to exile us from town. No blood on his hands.
Oh, you're on the same lines as me, Bartleby.
How do you mean?
Well, what happens if all this is just the second part of his plan? I mean, Margot and Brian, we don't know them very well, do we?
I know Brian pretty well.
Well, no, you
spent an interesting evening together.
He saved me from murderers.
He did, yeah, that is true.
He saved you from murderers, but what happens if he was there to gain your trust rather than to save you? I mean, if you think about it, we're not fighters, are we? I mean that's what Hengist and Hazra's for, isn't it?
Technically, yes.
And that's who they went after in Force, didn't they? They went after Hengist and Hazra. Really?
And myself and you.
No, but what would happen? Say on that night, what would have happened if Hengist and Hazra had been killed?
We would have had a very, very sad funeral, a double funeral.
And that would have been it. That would have been it for the Fantastic Four, as they call us. Because we wouldn't have been able to go on, would we? So what happened if Margot and Brian were the contingency plan, the backup plan, just in case that night failed? They had our trust, didn't they? And if they came to us and said, "We've got a way of getting back," we would have said, "Oh yeah, we'll do that." But what happens if they couldn't kill us? What happens if his next plan was to, well, like you just said, to disgrace us, to turn us against the people? Everybody sort of like looks up to us now, don't they? We've done a lot of good in the town. And what would happen if, I don't know, hypothetically, the Fantastic Four were delivering something really, really bad to a merchant, and, well, the city guard just happened to be there when we were delivering it, and we were caught red-handed, I don't know, doing something really bad for the city. So what happens if this is his backup plan?
Well, that is a very troubling and plausible plan. But
I'm not going to lie, I don't know Margot for diddly squat.
Well, I don't know Margot either, but I know Brian wouldn't betray us. He's a good person, and I know that the guards would believe us. They would know if we explained it to them that we were doing are these actions for the greater good. We're trying to help Lindo. That's why we're the Fantastic Four. All it would take is explanation.
I don't know.
The guard loves Hengist and I.
People jump to conclusions very quickly in Lindo. We know that.
Catching snippets of the conversation, Hazra will whisper or quietly under his breath say, "What is our plan then? Because when we get to the merchant, what are we going to do then? We are just going to hand over the goods and say, 'There you go, have a nice day,' or what was the plan after we meet the merchant?"
I think if this is a double cross.
No, I'm not saying this, Gulliver. I'm saying, what is the plan when we get to the merchant? What was the plan? We know who the merchant is, so why are we taking these goods to him? Why not just throw them overboard and just go to the merchant because we know who he is anyway?
Because we want to see who else is involved in Sniffer's plot.
But still, why would we need the goods to do that? We can just go to the merchant's house and see who's in his house. Because surely, if we, I mean, I'm not wise in the ways of you city folk, but once you take these boxes to the merchant, then your job is done, and he gives you money, and you go away. Are we going to then give him the boxes and then wait to see who picks them up, or? But like you say, if it is like you say, if you think it's a double cross, then why take the boxes in the first place? Why not just go to the merchant and coerce the information out of him?
So what do you think is best to do to dispose of the boxes now, so that the merchant doesn't get them at all?
No, we don't know to see the boxes, do we, yet? This is the thing. We don't know. We could be putting something in the water here that could be dangerous to the people of Lindo. Or it could be some fruit and vegetables.
Right. Okay. And I need to think then, because all you're giving me is more problems. So we don't know what's in the boxes.
No.
When I tried to get in earlier, they seem to be sealed shut very well. We haven't got the tools, and I don't really fancy losing a finger or two trying to open it with a knife.
I don't know then.
It would probably be a good idea to know what we're going to do when we get to the end of this map.
Just out of interest, how heavy are these boxes? Do they, when we've hit the wall, have they shifted at all, or have they stayed very stationary and not moved?
Yeah, they're very stationary. You don't think they're a huge weight because the raft isn't sort of like going down below the water thing, but they're not moving with the jolt. You probably think that it's probably something more that's light but heavily packed. It could be something you've seen down in the docks beforehand, that people have carried the crates onto the wagon, the wheelbarrow to move it away. So, they're not even. They don't seem to be moving at all.
So it could be a wine cask in there that's just padded with wool or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Or it could be some kind of something like spices that is heavily packed around, or plant matter. There's really no sort of like sign. The only thing that you do all see is that the actual boxes seem to have tar over the joins, so it's obviously
waterproof.
Yeah, but this has come on. Remember, this came off boats, so whether or not that was the same for all of them, these are definitely watertight, definitely.
So if you look at the sides with the tar going around, this is either to keep water out or to keep something in. In my mind, perhaps to take it one step further.
I think it's best if you stop paddling for a bit and just so that we know we're all on the same page of what we're actually doing. We need to know what the plan is once we get to the merchant.
No, this is why I was asking before we got there, because we just seem to be taking boxes to a merchant and that's it.
I assumed that we would remove the merchant's ability to fight, and Gulliver would gather information, and then we would head back on this convenient raft. I didn't think we needed to deliver anything. In fact, I thought that might be a better goal, perhaps.
Yeah, I thought I as a similar thought to you there, Bartleby, was, we would get the information from the merchant of who else is involved and where maybe Sniffer is.
Maybe what the next leg of the journey is for these for this cargo. You might be going off somewhere else after this.
But for that, we do not need the cargo, do we?
Makes Sniffer look worse if we don't deliver the cargo, right?
And I think the same.
And if
Would it not be a bit suspicious if we just sort of like rolled up with nothing on the raft then?
well, that's very true, Gulliver.
But
It seems to the people in the Saggy Mermaid that gave us this part of the job said not to mess it up like last time. So it makes me think that perhaps the pirates or the sailors messed it up.
And again, we don't need to walk to the door with the crates in hand. You'd assume that one person would go forward to announce the arrival of this raft, and then we could deal with the merchant then. He doesn't have to see the cargo, in my view.
That one person's not me, because that water looks pretty deep to me, and it smells. Okay, let's get going. At least we know what we're doing now. And if it is a trap,
Could Hazra have another look at these crates and just see if he can, like, maybe try and pry open a corner or something?
Yeah. Do you wish to park the raft, before doing it or not?
Probably a good idea, yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be pushed to one side to stabilise.
Okay. Do you want to go to Hazra's side or Hengist's side?
I think it's kind of in the wills of the gods, really, isn't it?
I'm going to aim for Hazardous' side so that he can, if needed, step off onto the solid ground.
Yeah, that's fine. You sort of like, you get it up there and then sort of like manage to hold it and steady on the side. Hengist, you're probably on your side. Your pole is probably in the water,
Holding it there.
Yeah, holding it there. So Hazra, are you using anything to try to?
Yeah, he wants to try a couple of things if possible. He's got his door jamb, and he wants to try to put the point end of that into the side of the seal of the crate. But he needs something to maybe hammer it to try to push it up, if you know what I mean. But he's got nothing on him that would do that. So would anybody have anything that maybe would hit this into the wood? Does anybody have maybe a
Hammer?
A hammer. If I had a hammer.
oh wait, no. What about Bartleby's club?
I didn't bring it.
You can try and use the hilt of my dagger.
I'd need to be a bit more heavier than the dagger, I think. What I'll try and do in that case is I'll try to use my scimitar, the pommel of it, and hold the wedge and just like that, and try to just knock it in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be hard, just more repetitive, and just see if it'll go through the tar.
Yeah. So
Wait to see whether or not I can get my dagger underneath it as well. I could maybe try to get my dagger in and prise it up.
No. If we just try this way first, if we get to this wedge in first, and then maybe we can see about the dagger. I don't want to be hitting this with your dagger out in case you hurt yourself with it. But thank you, Gulliver, anyway.
Or
Okay.
someone misses and the scimitar flashes in someone's face. You don't want that either.
So, do you want Hazra, if you roll your brawn roll for me, please?
Certainly.
Yeah, and just to let you know, normally it would be hard, but because you've attempted it before, as in a party, it would have been formidable. But you seem to have your way with this wood and tar, and you manage to actually get a tool onto it, and then you prise it quite nicely, and the whole lid doesn't come off. A bit of the wood comes off, and that's that little bit sort of like comes off, and you can see what's inside. Gulliver probably holds the lantern up, and you can look inside, and this is the one nearest to you that we'll call crate 8, just for comparison. So this one, you sort of like peer inside, and it seems to have a whole load of cloth in it. You sort of like touch it a bit, and it's not tightly packed. It just seems to be folded, and it appears to be very, very smooth to your to your touch. It's not like the normal fabric that you're familiar with. It looks like some, more civilized fine lady silk rather than anything else. Hengist, you can sort of like see it, and it definitely looks like fine silk from this distance, although you can just see the sort of like the sheen off it at the moment.
That's some fancy silk that's in that one. See what's probably fetch a pretty penny in the markets in Lindo.
Yeah, but it's not exactly contraband, is it? Silk. I mean, why would you smuggle silk up a sewer? Why wouldn't you just unload it at the dockers normally and then just, I don't know, put it on the market stall and sell it?
Maybe it's to avoid taxis, perhaps.
Hengist and Bartleby, roll your customs. Oh, identical rolls. Yeah, you two are familiar about civilized life in Lindo, and you are aware that any goods that come into the town are taxed by Count Bastian, who's in charge, and that's normally done at the water's edge, and it gets taxed, and then that money is taken away from the profit. So, Hengist, you might have had things shipped into you that you require, some delicacies. Bartleby, you've lived in Lindo all your life, so you're aware of this. And sometimes that taxation can be extremely high. And, of course, that then cuts out a profit. So any goods, whether or not it be silk or food or anything that actually enters illegally, the price that it's sold at will still be the price that after it's been taxed, if you see what I mean. So it'd be high. But, of course, if you haven't paid the tax on it, the profit is huge. And you, when people sort of like start talking about it, you sort of like offer this, that probably due to the taxation of imported goods, anything it doesn't matter whether or not it's legal or illegal, anything that is transported at this way will be illegal because it hasn't been taxed, but also it will make a healthy profit.
Sorry, with that, would the piece of wood that's come off, would I be able to try to replace it using the stickiness of the tar to reposition it if possible, so it looks like it hasn't been tampered with?
The tar's quite hardened now to stop the waterproof, but you can push it back on and see whether or not do it. Can you just roll for me your conceal skill? It's Dex plus power.
I will use a point. Well, I'm going to take minutes, but I will use a point to look to reverse it anyway.
Okay then. So you sort of like make sure that you sort of like put it back as well as you can. So that'll be 6, won't it? What's your skill's 20, isn't it? So it won't be
no, not a crit. No,
not a crit. Yeah.
But again, like I say, I will take minutes over doing that just to make sure I'm taking time to position it. And
That's absolutely fine. You sort of like try your best and, you know, pop it back, and you think it looks pretty good, but, you know, it depends how perceptive the other person is. You know, you might even get to that point that, you know, when you arrive, you might sort of like put your hand on that part.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Lean over it and drape over it a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, then.
Okay, so we're going to carry on. We're going to try to get the raft into midstream again, and
Okay. Yeah.
carry on our
So, Bartleby, can you roll for me your insight roll for me again for this next part of the journey?
Absolutely. Big money.
Are you looking it and roll it again, or?
Yeah, I'm going to use my... Oh, I haven't used any luck yet. Yeah, I'll use my first luck point to
Reverse it.
re-roll it. Pow!
Yeah. Okay, then. So you're sort of like going along, and Hazra and Hengist are punting along, and you sort of like say, to the left, everyone, to the left, down there. And just as the raft starts to turn, you suddenly realise that you picked up the pig skin the wrong way, and you sort of like turn it round quickly and say, no, straight ahead. And there's a sigh from behind, and let's see your boating skill. Yeah, and this sort of like it sort of like ricochets off the side again, and it's sort of like this is not a smooth ride at all. Bartleby, could you roll a d10 for me?
Absolutely.
4.
As we're going down, Gulliver's going to start holding on a bit more.
Yeah, so you sort of like Bartleby, you're sort of like looking ahead. So Bartleby and Gulliver, can you both make perception rolls for me, please? Ooh, 62 out of 62. So Gulliver, you see something ahead. This time it's not lengthways coming towards the barge. It's actually sideways on, and it seems to be somehow attached to the side of the this top side here. It sort of like seems to be attached and sort of like lying perpendicular for that, sort of like coming out, and it appears to be from where you are. I'll draw it the best I can. No matter what I draw now, it just
It's going
looks.
to be a penis.
I know. No matter what I try to draw, it just.
Penis. Try to draw.
That'll do. Okay then. So
Good job, yeah.
It's a man doing a handstand.
It looks like one of the white trace outlines they put around a murdered body.
Well,
Yeah. Murdered body.
it is. It definitely is a body. Bartleby, from Gulliver, you can see from your vantage point that you think it's probably female. It seems to have snagged on the edge, and it's face down, and it almost like looks like ghost-like in the water, because there's some kind of material that is sort of like flowing out from it. It's obviously it's a tire, but it's sort of like floating down like that because of the stream current, and you can see that you think it's got long hair. You can see it all sort of like spread out. The arms are up and the hands are clenched at the end, and it just seems to be almost like bobbing
The first thing that Gulliver's going to do, he's going to turn back towards Hengist and Hazra, and he's going to say, "So stop the barge. There's something else in the water."
So Hengist will try and stop the barge.
Boating. And you sort of like try desperately to stop the barge.
Just collide into it.
Speed it up instead.
Roll a d4 for me, please.
Is that anyone or is that me?
No, you. Yeah, you're steering. Go for it. D4. So you sort of like try desperately to sort of like stop it, and it goes up to this side, and then Bartleby, you sort of like see it coming closer, and you sort of like backing up, sort of like looking around, and Hengist and Hazra are sort of like pushing it, and then all of a sudden it just goes. You notice that the white dress that you think was a white dress actually sort of like crumples up, and you sort of like lean back as this body goes boom. Like that, and sort of like Hengist stops it as it hits the body. Bartleby, you're closest. Could you make a willpower check for me, please?
Please don't scream. Please don't scream.
Yeah, and as you push on it, it tilts slightly and goes back, and you suddenly see that it's definitely a woman, and it seems to have some kind of silk outfit on, but you suddenly see its exposed arm and its exposed leg, and a bit of its midriff, and you notice that it's all blue and bloated, and it's sort of like coloured different colours, like purple and brown, and you also notice that as it bumps into it, it seems to be that there's been almost like a colony of small fish sort of like nibbling at it, and as you sort of like bump at it, you sort of like knock it, and you suddenly notice as the leg turns a bit that it's peppered with sort of like small teeth marks. It looks like it's had bits of its skin picked away left, right and centre, and they sort of like the fish sort of like dart away, and not sort of like there sort of like seem to be some kind of brown fish that seems to have quite definite jaws that seem to be opposed to where you would normally see a fish. So rather than being like this, it's like that on the side, and they sort of like flit. They're only about this big, and they sort of like flourish away, but as it tilts, there's that sudden whiff of dank, decayed body. Roll your healing skill for me.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you're pretty used to this smell from working in the slums. This is definitely a dead body, and it's definitely been in the sewer for quite significant amount of time. It started to decompose by itself. You look at it, roll your commerce skill.
This body's worth a lot.
To the right person.
Yeah, the body doesn't look very good for anything, but the outfit was certainly in its day something worth having. It seems to be of what was once pale coloured silk. It's very loose fitting. It seems to have a split up either side of the leg for free movement. You notice that it really has a low cut deep back. You do notice that on the neck you can see that there's some kind of silver chain over the neck. It seems to be almost like digging in a bit. It doesn't seem to be resting on the top. It seems to be sort of like actually causing the skin of the neck to sort of like dip in. there seems to be some kind of jewelry, some kind of bracelet on wrists, and like I said before, the hands are clenched. They're almost like fish-like, and they sort of like bob to the top every now and again. You think the hair might have been auburn, but really and truly in this state, it doesn't look pleasant at all.
Question. The silk outfit, does it have any similarities to the cloth that's in the crates at all?
It looks about the same quality. But apart from that, the cloth that you all saw in the crate was very colourful. This looks like it was almost like pure white at the time.
Hengist, didn't Bruce and Bill talk about dealing with a lady of some kind?
They did. Do you think that's the lady?
I don't know, but I don't like looking at her. I'm going to turn away from the body. I think maybe she met the similar fate as whatever lady they're talking about.
So do you think there's going to be more bodies down here then?
I hope not, but I have a feeling this might just be where they dispose of the bodies. I mean, they're asking of our crew, and this is where our crew went, and so that's probably where they dispose of a body.
It's a good place to dispose of a body.
We haven't opened the second crate, have we?
No, we haven't. We've only opened one.
Is there any way that we can find out who she is?
I don't want to flip the body over. She's decomposing. Really, this is why I haven't taken the funeral rites.
You wouldn't recognise her anyway, would you, Bartleby?
Probably not. Maybe. I don't know. I feel like a decomposing face won't help me too much, Gulliver.
There's no other way that we can maybe track down who she was.
Maybe if somebody passes me a dagger, I can try and get the necklace off. That might have something in it.
You can borrow my dagger.
Okay.
I could probably, if you just grab hold of the necklace, I can probably break the clasp on it with a simple cantrip, and then you could just quickly grab it.
So yeah, and Bartleby, is the idea that you want to put a dagger blade underneath it, or do you want to reach out and grab hold of it and pull, or what?
I don't really want to touch a dead body. Again, I have not passed the funeral rites for the Church of Amriel, so...
Every time you want to take that spell, you put it to the bottom of the list.
I just... so I want to use the dagger to try and, like, wedge-ish and not throw up, and try and get it up and kind of wrapped as best I can, so that if the knock cantrip unlocked it, then I could pull it away and not have it sink to the bottom. That's the goal.
Yeah, got you. So you sort of... do you have a dagger, or are you using somebody else's?
I borrowed my dagger.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you sort of like give your dagger, and you sort of like put the pigskin down, and you're going to have to sort of like reach out a little way and sort of like try to get the dagger beneath the chain, and the skin looks rather bloated round it, so it's a bit of an issue getting it in. And then Gulliver, are you going to...
I'm not going to use knock. No, knock is I've got to be up close, and I've got to put my hand on it. And very much like Bartleby, I don't want to get that close to the body. So the spell that I'm going to use is going to be this one.
All right.
disruption, so it can be used on physical objects. I'm going to try to aim for the clasp if I can see it.
Yeah.
No, I'm just going to aim for the chain and hope that the disruption is enough to,
Okay.
to break it. Does it look well made? Or anyway, that's my plan. I don't know.
Yeah. So your spell go off. I just need to see whether or not you have a critical folk magic, because in which case it won't. But I'm not concerned about the. Oh yes. So well done. So that takes no magic points, doesn't it? For
do I get 1 to 3 back?
Is that what it is?
Oh, that would be awesome.
There is a rule for.
If so, I'm going to try to cast it again.
Isn't it just a sorcery and like theism that you don't expend anything with a critical, and then folk magic you gain a little bit back potentially?
So using for a critical success, our magic point is 0.
Yeah.
Oh, gutted.
You don't get anything back. Yeah, okay then. So you.
And now you've got to try and catch the necklace before it drifts down into the water.
So this is so. Bartleby, can you make for me? And this seems strange when I ask you to roll it, but you'll see why in a second.
2 points of damage.
2 points of damage. Could you roll an athletics roll for me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay then. So you're sort of like reaching out for this. Gulliver fires the thing, and you hit a piece of the chain. The locket, the actual clasp, wasn't actually noticeable. You've got the dagger sort of like underneath it, and it's fired off, and the chain snaps, and you sort of like try to grab hold of it, Bartleby, to pull it, and as you get your hand on it, you suddenly realise that it's too heavy to actually be a necklace, and you sort of like grab hold of it, and you suddenly feel that the chain is being pulled under, as if there's something quite heavy on the end. And luckily you manage with your athletics roll to leave go of it and back away, as you all notice the chain that once it's broken, it goes like that, and it suddenly just falls into the water, and you notice that the body rises slightly, as if the necklace across the neck was actually keeping it slightly submerged.
That was one really heavy pendant.
Yeah, and it's sort of like the body goes like that, and as it surfaces again, it slowly rotates. Could you all make for me willpower checks?
Now we know how she died.
The
coward wins.
So Bartleby, you made yours. Hengist and Hazra, you don't make yours. And Gulliver, you make yours. And this body suddenly just flips over, and they sort of go like that. And you suddenly realise, people at the front of the boat, that you this chain was keeping the body face down in the sewer. It wasn't actually a necklace at all. It might have been on the opposite side. It might have been a necklace with something else holding it. But this was actually what's keeping it down, sort of like at this level. Almost like to drown the person. Hazra and Hengist, you have a smell that whiffs back as this body sort of like turns over, and Gulliver and Bartleby, you sort of like feel your stomachs clench as it rotates over, and you notice that the face is all sort of like peppered with these fish's teeth marks, but you notice that the soft parts of the face have completely gone. So there's the remnants of the tongue being nibbled right the way back. The lips have been nibbled off. The eyes are totally like voids. There's no sort of like soft eyeball there at all. And it's just sort of like rolls over. There's no lips, but you can see what were probably once pearly white teeth. And as it rolls over, just as it was cut low at the back, the silk dress had quite a deep plummeting neckline. But you notice any part of the exposed skin from the underneath has not fared as well as the top part. And there, as it sort of like rolls over, it's sort of like it looks as if it's just been picked away over weeks, maybe months. So there's all sort of like straggles of skin and flesh and everything. And as it flips over, some almost like insect larvae has obviously been housed in here, and this sudden exposure to the light, they all frantically get away. And you do feel that once upon a time this woman might have been quite pretty, but now she's just a bloated, nibbled at wreck.
As soon as she started sort of like to come round and Gulliver initially saw what he saw, he's sort of like turning his head so that he can't see it, and he's turning to Hengist and Hazra, and he's going, go round it, go round it.
Well, as Gulliver turns to Hazra, you will see Hazra pulling his head armour, this wrap that goes around his nose and mouth, pulling it down and violently throwing up into the water over the side of the raft.
And Hengist is holding onto the pole, but he's sort of like dry retching. It's not like he hasn't thrown. You know, like when you've thrown up and you continue to try and throw it up, but there's nothing there. That's the sort of thing that Hengist is doing at the moment, as the smell is just like engulfed him. And
the body sort of like rolls over. As the heavier side, the bit that hasn't been gnawed about, becomes the heavier side, and then it sort of like naturally rotates itself over. Bartleby, you because you're close to it, you suddenly see as it rotates round that the fish suddenly notice fresh skin, and they all sort of like swim up from the side.
It's nature's rotisserie.
Yes, it's a doner kebab.
That's right.
Gulliver wants to sort of like get off the edge of the crates that he's on.
Yeah.
And if so, he wants to try to hold on, and then he wants to use his good leg to see whether or not he can push the raft from this side.
Okay.
To see whether or not he can start pushing it around to the other side.
Roll your brawn roll. You sort of like put your good leg about it. I mean, it would have been difficult with both legs, but just one leg. You sort of like put your leg out and sort of like try to push. But probably also, Hengist has still got his pole in the back, even though he's dry retching. And you just sort of like try desperately to move the raft, and it doesn't. And it
go round it.
And the body just sort of like slowly comes and sort of like bumps against the raft again.
Dropping your good leg, and now you have no legs.
You need to roll a boating skill to get past it.
Oh! I finally made one. That's what, 1 out of 6.
Do you want to know? I had this wonderful thing that the skirt was going to get caught on a bit and drag it.
Dragging the body.
I had so much because I thought he'll never make his roll.
1 out of 6.
And you sort of like Hengist and Hazra, you sort of like start to move the raft away, and now that it's been released, the body sort of like turns over and starts to float back down the river, and you at this sewer, and you actually see it every now and again tremble as the ferocity of the fish, like piranha fish, are actually tugging at it, getting the fresh flesh off it, and it's sort of like twitches every now and again, and still with its clutching, its hands clenched, it slowly floats down river, coming away from the edge. And let's take our break there in order to thank you, Zah. So we're going to take our quick 10-minute break there, so we'll be back in 10 minutes at 1:45 the hour. So go off and get yourself a drink, etc., and we will be back in 10 minutes. See you all.
I'm gonna have a tuna sandwich.
Yeah.
Nice.
My stomach's already turned from that description. impossible thing.
Now I'm thinking maybe should have got another drink before we started.
Yeah, can I just say thank you so much to Zaz Esquire for a wonderful Christmas present. Taking up
Was it PlayStation 4?
taking up a tier 3 sub for me.
Oh,
thank you so
nice.
much for that.
Yeah,
That
very,
is
very nice.
so he has the Superman eye emotes now, and I'm still trying to work out how everybody else gets them for your 2,000 points. So, but I will hang on.
2,000 points.
I know it comes up. It
You
actually.
still haven't got it. Now, let me just go quickly into your chat and just type something.
No, so you don't do. Does it come up as?
Well, yeah, the icons now has the Superman. Oh no, it doesn't. I don't know. I don't know what it does. All it said was you have to type something in.
What did you have to type in?
It said I had to type in anything. It said type in a message.
Yeah, so here it says I've got a thing that says Super I Chugga Wugga Super Chugga Wugga Woo,
Yeah.
and then when I call up the editor with it, I have a choice to either mark it complete or reject it. So I mark it complete, but then I don't know whereabouts you're meant to actually.
Oh, I just feel like I've been ripped off.
How has he managed to get a hat on it?
On what? Oh, because you can edit your emotes as part of your thing.
Oh right, I didn't know that. So, but I have no idea.
I got one with a penis on its head.
I have no idea unless there's another section on your. You know when you go to your typing and you go to all the emotes for my channel, do you not have it on that one?
No, locked.
I don't know. I don't know what's.
I don't know how you set it up, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay, then I will have a look at that. So yeah, so you're busily going down. You've so far you've encountered some vegetation that set some pores off. Then you went back again, and you it's 2,000 by the way.
2009.
Well, actually, it's 2,100 now because you just wasted it on those, telling us that you wasted it. I need to set it out. Anyway, and then you've carried on down, and I think we did the boating and everything. No, I think we've got this last one to do before we reach. So, Bartleby, you need to roll your insight, and then Hengers needs to roll your... Hengis is on. Bartleby's on form. He leads you the right way. Hengis
messes it up again.
sort
Back to normal.
hits the side a few times, and
Strongly motivated last time to get away from the body.
And Hazra and Hengis, can you both roll perception rolls for me, please? Anybody looking anything?
I can't.
Hazra, do you?
Sorry, no, that's fine.
Okay then. So you sort of like busy punting along, and all of a sudden, from behind you, Hazra and Hengis, you hear a splash, as if something heavy has fallen into the water somewhere behind you, and you sort of like, when you hear it, you look round and you see the telltale ripple and water sort of like that's been agitated round about it from about, I'm just going to put a dot where about the ripple sort of like emanates from, which is about this point here. So you could trace back the ripple, and you sort of like you don't see anything as you're skirting around. Then all of a sudden you hear this, bleh, like that, and you sort of like look around and you see the ripple, and you're sort of like looking around at that point when all of a sudden the raft moves. It's as if something is coming up underneath it. You need to roll for me, please. Athletic checks. Don't roll for it yet. Everybody is standard to start off with. Hengist and Hazra, yours will be easy because you've got the pole. Okay, in it. However, Gulliver and Bartleby, yours won't be. Yours will be standard because there's this whole raft is moving. So yeah, roll athletics, please. Okay then. So Hazra, you stay on the raft. Bartleby and Gulliver and Hengist, you all get knocked over off the raft. It probably comes up more at your side, Hazra, which allows you to steady yourself. It doesn't tip the raft at all. Can two of you just roll a 1d100? The skill that you're looking for is 62.
You only want two of us to roll that?
I just need two. I just need two rolls. That's all.
I say Hengist made his roll.
I thought that was an easy roll.
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't. That's fine. So yours still on. Is that one of them, Gulliver? 48. That's one of them. I just need another one.
43.
Excellent. So the raft tips. Hazra and Hengist, you manage to stay yourself with the poles. You notice that the crates suddenly dash to one side, and Gulliver, you fall into the sludge, as do you, Bartleby. And the whole raft sort of goes like that, and the fighters at the back, you manage to quickly right it, and you notice Bartleby coming out from the front, coming up and surfacing quite elegantly. Appears to be some kind of giant
goblin.
Alligator. Hang on, I've got a picture of it.
So what's a goblin?
Yeah. Let me just yeah.
No!
Again, it's a water goblin.
My mortal enemy! That's a funny way to spell water goblin.
Can you see it?
Is it a sewer alligator?
Yeah, it is a sewer alligator, and it's just sort of like comes up, and as it swims past you, Bartleby, it whacks its tail against you, and your protection spell sort of like engages as its tail whacks into you. It sort of like pushes you out to one side, but it actually takes the damage. Your protection spell takes the blow of it as you sort of like pushed on, and then the alligator, it's sort of like it comes up, it tips the barge, everybody's holding on. Gulliver and Bartleby go splashing in, and the tail whacks you, Bartleby, but your Amril's grace protects your body as it sort of like hits you, and you just, and then the it slowly submerges. Let me just submerge it for you.
Hengist, thrust your pole over to them. See if you can pull them in.
So Hengist
Or
will,
not.
Okay, yeah.
Hengist will move to the side of the boat and lift the pole out and try and get it towards close to Gulliver as he can.
The 48 and the 43 were athletics rolls for the crate. So they actually stayed on. If you had failed, then the crate would have slipped off, but they're, like I said before, they're not super heavy, but they're quite firmly on it. So yeah, so roll your boating. Gulliver and Bartleby, your first action will be to stand up. Remember, but you're like up to your waist. Yeah, so you try to maneuver the boat, but it just sort of like the whole weight of it is all sort of like off kilter, and it's sort of like, if anything, it moves further away. Right.
Hey, Genghis, maybe this time do as I say and put the pole out so they can hold on to the pole and you can bring them in.
That's what I was trying to do, but I must have got a bit of momentum behind it.
And can we please, let's roll your track. Let me just, hang on, Gulliver, you can take the roll. I got to take... Did it replace your other one? Is yours 22? Right, hang on.
Yeah, there wasn't anything in it. That's why I rolled it. I didn't see that you hadn't changed the round and turns.
Right. Okay, then. You can...
Do you want to roll it again?
No, it's fine. And if everybody else, if you would like to roll your initiative.
I thought I hit it, but if I do a double one, then don't. Okay, I didn't hit it. Yeah, big money.
Oh, look, you've come exactly in order. Okay then. Yeah. So we'll go straight into the combat round. Gulliver, you're up first on 22.
Okay, so Gulliver wants to be pushing his way over to the raft again and see whether or not he can get a leg up onto it. So
that'll be your movement for your first action as you get towards the raft. Hazra, you're on 20.
Hazra is trying to stabilise by holding the pole and keeping it steady so it's not moving anywhere, and that's his primary thing at the moment, just to make sure this.
Yeah, so you steady the barge. Hengist, you're on 14.
So with Hazra steadying the barge, Hengist is going to move to the front of the barge, taking the pole with him. Okay
then, so you move to the front, and Bartleby.
Would it be a move action or a roll to get up on the side just below me here?
Yeah, you've been battered, so you're right next to it, so you can just be your move action to get out onto the side.
Okay, that's what I'd like to do then.
Okay, I'm just on the wrong.
Put myself like right there, maybe.
Yeah, probably nearer the edge, and on 9. You notice that off at the far side of you, let me just pop him back onto the layer. The alligator surfaces down here, and it sort of like surfaces and sort of like slowly on its move action turns itself back round, and it's definitely moving towards the raft again. Everybody can see it. It's doing the classic that it's only got its eyes and the front of its snout sticking out the sewer. And Bartleby, you can see the tail powerfully, rocking backwards and forwards as the alligator gains speed on turns and ready to move.
Can we hear a tick-tock as it comes forward?
Yeah. And there's a little Tinkerbell going, Peter Pan. So it turns, and we're going into turn 2. Gulliver, you're up.
So as soon as Gulliver gets to the side of the raft, he wants to be trying to scramble up onto it.
Okay then. So you sort of like, you don't need to roll for it. You sort of like scramble up onto it. Hazra, what would you like to do?
Again, it's a case of Hazra. He doesn't want to change sides on the raft in case he overbalances. So he's got his pole there. He's holding it as steady as he can against the floor.
Cool. So you sort of like, as Gulliver gets on, you readjust the raft as Gulliver gets on. Hengist.
Yeah.
So Hengist is going to delay his action, and then he's going to use a free action to call out to Bartleby, and he's going to go, Bartleby, are you okay?
Okay, and Bartleby, you're on 13.
I can see the eyes of this monster.
He's heading back towards the raft, yeah.
Would it be plausible, with my knowledge of how my prayers work, to use the shock prayer to target it, or is it too concealed for that to work?
No, you can probably... it's sort of like the top half of its body is totally exposed at the moment. Its legs are probably dangling underneath it, you know, aiding to his swimming, but the major power is coming from the actual tail. So that would be your exhort, won't it?
That would be my folk magic.
Oh, it's
my
folk magic.
prayers.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I'm praying for Amriel to punish those who seek to do evil against us, please. Almost a critical.
So it zips off.
It has an evade.
Cool. That's what I was going to ask. So I will roll my evade.
I'm always jealous, and Gulliver gets to tell you what your resist is.
His evade skill, just so you know, is 18. He got a 26, which means that... Let me... whisper rolls... No. And that should make it. Yeah, so he got a 26, so I need a hit location and then some damage.
Does a D20 work for your hit location?
Yeah, I've got everything.
Raiden is 9.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go to
Go ahead and give you your number of turns.
So you actually whack its hind quarters slightly forward of this off the tail section. You're probably aiming for the head, but as it came past you, shocked it onto its rear end. Armor doesn't protect it, doesn't it? I don't think. And you actually, what is it? The location is stunned for 1d3 rounds. So what I'm going to say, because it's his hind quarters, that will probably mean its tail and its left and right hind legs are out of action. And you all hear this almighty crack as Bartleby calls down lightning almost from the above. What's it look like? Because it must be quite impressive.
I like to think of it more as Bartleby just starts praying loudly the fire and brimstone and punishment and those kind of angry prayers, and he doesn't really look at anything since it's a random sort of event. He just prays for Amriel to do something. You guys just feel more of an energy rather than anything visual, and then you hear a loud cracking noise. I like to think it's sort of related to how Amriel gives energy, and this is her taking it away.
And it's sort of like, obviously hits the rear end of this crocodile or alligator, and it sort of like flounders a bit, and it stops in mid flow, and you suddenly see it sinks, and it suddenly goes out of your sight.
Gulliver's going to say, he's going to say, but push it over towards Bartleby.
So this would be turn 3 to anybody who's still got actions left.
Mm-hmm.
So Gulliver.
That's what Gulliver's going to be doing on his action.
Great.
He's going to be keeping an eye out on the. Actually, he's going to prepare his. He's going to prepare his disruption spell, and if needs be, I'll cast it.
Okay, because you're going to hold the spell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay then. Cool. And Haswell, what are you going to do? You've heard Gulliver, yeah.
I will carefully push the side of the raft out.
Okay, so roll your boating skill. Does your boating skill by yourself?
I'm going to use my last point of luck to re-roll that, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Well, it was got better.
Yeah, and you do push the barge out, and as it gets to this point, the raft knocks slightly. You think you hit something underneath. It's as if there's something banged onto it, but you get it halfway across, but nothing else happens for this round. Hengist, do you have any actions left? And if you do, what would you like to do?
Hengist does, and Hengist is going to move back to the back of the boat, ready to start poling away.
Cool. I'm just putting something on there. And Bartleby on 13.
I have no more points left, but
Cool.
I did want to use a. I guess I wouldn't. I wanted to comment that was my answer to Hengist without actually using any actions.
Have you used your free action for this combat round?
I haven't, but I guess if I had a use for it, I just look over at Hengist like, yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, and try to convince him that you're absolutely fine. Okay then. So that I'm just going to move some things around. So we're in combat round 2, turn 1, and we're back up to you, Gulliver.
Gulliver's still holding this spell. He's scanning the water just to see whether or not he can see it coming up again.
Okay, just roll a combat skill, a perception skill for me. Is it 3 turns, Bartleby, or 3 rounds?
Oh, no, sorry, I didn't know that was me. It is 3 turns.
3 turns.
Perception is a 19.
It says native tongue there.
Oh, sorry, I clicked on
You think you're some kind of Mr. Doolittle trying to talk to... yeah, sorry, what were you looking for?
I'm looking to see. I'm scanning sort of like the surface with this spell held, waiting to see whether or not it comes up.
Okay, you can't see. The water's quite agitated at the moment because of all the raft movement and the previous attack. And you sort of like scan round holding the spell ready to zap it out. Hazra, you're up.
Again, same again. He wants to try and gently push the raft. He's not doing a hard push. He's just going to rest his pole, put his weight against it so it hopefully just drifts across.
Okay, then. Roll your boating skill.
No.
Yeah, and you sort of like, you do move it. You're not totally, but you also, you probably push it a little bit too hard from your direction. And it sort of like goes off from one side, and it hits the side. Everybody totters on the edge, but it's not hard enough to actually knock anybody off. But it's now not straight in the water. Hengist, you're up. Just to let you know, Hengist, you can step off it if you wish. You are that close. Gulliver, if you wish to step off it, it would be into the water.
Okay, Gulliver won't be stepping off.
Okay, so Hengist, yeah, it's your move, Hengist.
So Hengist is...
Reach out an arm to Bartleby. Bartleby!
Come back, Jack. Come back.
Hengist is going to try and get into the front left corner of the boat with his pole. And he's also going to use his free action this turn and say to Hazara, and say, ready your spear. You might be able to reach it.
Okay, so Hengist moves to the front, and Bartleby, you're up on 13.
I want to get. I want to move over to the edge of this area that I'm on. I don't want to step onto the raft just yet because I'm suspicious that bad things are going to happen. So I'm going to maybe right here.
That would be a movement. That's absolutely fine. And let me alter this. Yeah. Okay then. So this is now combat turn. Round 2, combat turn 2, and we're with you, Gulliver.
Gulliver's doing the same. He's keeping an eye out, getting ready. If this thing surfaces, he'll
zap it. Excellent. Hazra, you're up.
I'm muted. Hazra's conflicted with the idea of letting go of this pole.
You can probably pull it up and put it down if you wish.
Okay, in which case this turn he'll pull it up and put it on the on the deck. Yeah.
Okay then. So you pull it up, and Hengist, you're on 14.
So Hengist he's going to try and straighten the boat out with his pole. So he's going to use the pole to sort of like gently. He's not pushing it forward or back. He's just pushing it sideways. So he's going to try and swing the boat so it stops. Completely.
Okay. Don't forget to take off the augmented bit.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, I got a 70 on a 26.
Oh,
so I failed.
Yeah. Okay then, and you just sort of like you try to put your thing in, but as you push it, it sort of like slips off the bottom, and you sort of like keep hold of on the pole, but you do it by pulling yourself towards the pole, which moves the raft in sort of like this position. So it's pivoted on by you, Bartleby. You sort of like see the corner of your boat, think, what on earth's going on? And it starts to move around as it goes off in the wrong direction. And Bartleby, you're up.
Yes, I was expecting something to come out of the water before that. I'm gonna take a step back because I don't know what to do. A move action and partially dithering.
Okay, yeah, and so that's the end of combat round and combat turn 2. So we're going into third pass of the round. So this is turn 3 for anybody with action points left. Gulliver.
Gulliver does his action is going to remain the same.
Okay.
He's looking for it sort of like surfacing up again.
Yeah. Hazra.
What Hazra would like to do is he'd like to unhook his spear from his back, but in the same, if it's possible, in the same thing, he wants to push the pole with his foot against the crates to kind of stop it from rolling if anything does happen.
Yeah,
because
I think it's... Yeah. You would have put it down in a sensible place. So yeah, your pickup, you've got your spear arm now. That's on 14 Hengist, if you have any actions left.
Hengist does. Hengist, rather red-faced, embarrassingly, is going to try and again to right the boat. So he wants to make it so it's going the right way again.
Yeah, got ya. And so
I'm not a boatman.
Yeah, you sort of like put your pole where you think it should be, but instead of putting it here, sorry, you probably didn't see that. Instead of putting it here, like any boatman normally do, you actually put it here and sort of like give it a push, and the whole raft turns again. Bartleby, you sort of like thinking, what on earth? Gulliver, you're now facing the way you were travelling with the crates behind you, and Bartleby, you're on 13.
Even if I had an action point, I wouldn't know what to do with this display of boating.
Okay,
we're doing a tactical withdrawal, just very, very, very slowly.
Yeah, and it's on its turn of 9, which it's had its 3 actions, 3 turns, floating underwater, trying to get life back into its nether regions. It's on 9 that it suddenly breaches the water again, you do notice, everybody, that it's actually facing the wrong way. It's as if it's swept under, just sort of like floated, trying desperately to sort of like right itself, and then the shock spell's worn off, and it is immediately righted itself and come to the surface. So it's actually facing. I will turn it for you so you can see. So it's actually facing that way at the moment as it surfaces on its final turn. Okay, we're going into combat round 3. Some people need to roll endurance for me.
That's me.
No worries for endurance. And are you going to luck it at all, Gulliver?
No, not with my basic endurance. I don't think I'll have much chance.
Okay then. Is that it? So just you two? So you do your endurance.
Refresh my memory, sorry. Endurance is rolled when? After how many turns?
It depends.
It depends
on your,
on your constitution.
Yeah.
All right, mine's 13.
So you're the same as me, so you're at the end of round 3.
Yeah.
It is right. Sorry, that's throwing me off. I
13.
I think.
I thought we'd just done round 3, but no, that's fine.
No, we've done round 2.
Yeah.
We're now on round 3.
No, it is 3. That rings a bell. Thank you.
Yeah, it's just so you know, it's con in seconds, rounded up. So and each round is 6 seconds. So we're on to so Gulliver, you're up. It's probably assumed that somebody at the end of last round sort of like shouted, or you heard the water break, Gulliver. So you can definitely see it breaching.
Okay, so pointing at it with his fingers crossed, you hear him say "Night Persid" as he casts his spell. The spell that he's doing is this, and his roll is this. So even on a hard roll, which it'll be now for me because I haven't put my.
Do I resist it?
Well, it's there. It's endurance resist.
Endurance. Here we go then. No, it fails it. So I need hit, location, and damage. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a shame that spells don't do specials at that point. One is its tail, which seems logical at this point.
For 2 points of damage.
Ouch! Oh.
And that ignores any armor or natural protection.
Yeah, so it has natural armor. Does it go through?
Natural armor, yeah.
Yeah. So you sort of like whiz through. It looks like it's got quite hefty armor on, and you sort of like pull puncture your way through, and there's a small zap or something that you notice that a bit of almost like black blood, dark red blood sort of like pops out of the crocodile's, the sewer alligator's tail. And Hazra, you're on 20.
Nothing I can do at this point, so Hazra is literally just, I'm stood there and I'm watching this thing.
Oh, it's only 16 meters away.
Yeah, I'm not throwing a spear. That's gonna happen.
Okay, Hengist, you're up on 14.
Angus is going with it. He's trying to flip the boat around now. Whichever way it goes, he's happy as long as he can get it facing a way.
So roll your boating. You can have an easy for this, but we're going to randomly roll which way it turns if you're successful. No, so I'm going to make the decision since you failed.
That's fine.
And it goes this way. Oh, hang on. Let me just grab you all. Bartleby is thinking, what on earth is happening? And Bartleby, it's your turn on 13. You can shock it. It's still in range, I think, from you. 72 meters, I think, your shock range.
It is. just don't know if I should call Amriel that much for that type of prayer. That seems like something I shouldn't abuse. Would I be able to use my movement to step onto the raft and get next to Hazra?
Yeah, by all means.
Then that's the turn I do.
Okay then. And on 9, as this alligator gets whacked in its tail, it suddenly sinks underneath the water once more and disappears. We combat round 3 still, and turn 2. Gulliver, you're up.
Gulliver is he's going to once again he's going to prepare that spell.
Okay, excellent. Hazra.
Hazra again is kind of like a fish out of water really here, so he's just going to stand on the raft and watch. But he's making sure his footing is sure.
Yeah, it's almost like you're doing spear fishing now.
That's exactly right. Yes.
waiting for a trout to come in so you can just jab it.
A big spiky, big toothed trout.
Hengist, you're on 14.
Hengist is trying to get this boat sorted so that we can get out of here when we need to.
I was just...
so that we're not floating with the current towards the alligator now as well.
Excellent. You're gradually getting worse.
Hengist might spend some off time learning how to use a boat.
Let's move it. Let me just grab everybody. As it moves back lengthways. Bartleby, what would you like to do?
I would like to put my hands on Hazra's spear arm and pray for Amriel to reward his bravery with brutality.
Yeah. So that on goes your, which I think increases the damage by. So
that means no magic point spent.
No
Amriel loves this guy.
So now
the glow goes down his arm, and it's like.
Yeah. What's your damage on your spear normally?
Muted.
He's muted.
Muted
I'm
damage.
muting myself to talk. How cool is that? 1d8 plus 1.
So now it'll be 1d10 plus 1 because it'll take it up a damage.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and you all stand on the boat, on the raft, as the water ripples slightly and then slowly stops.
We're going to need a bigger raft. Sorry.
Are we like wedged?
No, you're not wedged. It's just the water seems to have calmed down.
They think we should wait just a moment to see where it has gone.
Hengist and Hazra, make a perception check for me, please.
How late do you think it is? We have to be there at 10 bells, don't we?
The operative word is we need to be there.
You sort of like both look ahead, and you're both sort of like scanning the water, but there seems to be, even the ripples have stopped.
Okay. Hazra will, if he feels comfortable, he'll put his spear away, he'll pick up the pole, and then he'll look at Hengist and say, I will help you again if you lead on to.
Thank you. It's very difficult to pilot this thing on my own.
I think, Hazra, you're at the back of the boat.
I am, yeah.
I was at the front.
Or am I at the front?
No, I think you are. So if I move
Wow, really? It's all a matter of perspective, really.
Yeah. So I'll put it back like that. Okay. So is everybody going to take up their their normal positions, that where they were.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That means I lose my 1d10. But thank you, Emriel. It was.
You will. It probably. Yeah, it'll probably go by there, but it was a nice. That is a nice D10. That damage would have been huge. So so you carry on up the sewer. I need one more endurance insight roll and one more boating.
I'd like to use a point of luck to give myself a reroll.
Okay, re-roll it.
And
I don't think it matters. I think we'll probably end up going backwards anyway.
rolling. We're rolling in the right direction if we make any momentum acceleration.
So I was on a different screen there.
I got 91 on the boating with Hazra's help.
Yeah, and you you sort of like bang around a bit, and then you seem to get stuck a few times, but Bartleby, after maybe an almost false call heading another way, he decides to go the correct way, and you suddenly notice that the ahead of you in the sewers, silhouetted in the darkness ahead of you, seems to be it comes to like an end, and a bit like, you know, where you got on the raft, and you're suddenly at one point you're sort of like thinking, what's going on here, but as you sort of like turn it round into a side tunnel, Bartleby, you're following the map and you're sure it's correct, and you see at the end of the tunnel what appears to be the outline, the silhouette. Can you all see what I've just put on the screen?
Yes.
Yeah. There seems to be a silhouette of a man there. His outline looks quite impressive, but as you slowly get closer to him, you see that he's probably less impressive in his physique, and is more sort of like, shall we just say he's a little bit more rounder than what you initially thought. Just doing this and positioning you right on this, and then I just need to put him on, so just bear with me for 2 ticks. Just need to find his icon, which I can't find. He's not really a stone golem, but do you know, there's a token here called Big Humanoid Thingy. That's all it says. Hi Foxy, how are you doing? And then I will drag you on to the map in 1 second. Ba-ba. Okay, you all see it?
Yeah, I don't know. I've got the other thing open. Yeah.
So as you sort of like bring it in, you notice that you see the silhouette, and as the raft comes down, the silhouette that was behind the front man is moved to one side, and both these people behind him appear to have lanterns that they've moved to one side, and now that it's moved to one side, it's casting a more general light source, and you can see that the guy at the front is somewhat round. He seems to be very finely dressed. He seems to have lots of jewels on his fingers, and he has a necklace, and he has a rather fine silk handkerchief that he's holding over his nose like this, and he's got this look of sheer disgust, and he sort of like looks at you all, and he sort of like says, he says, "And please, pray tell where you have been." He's saying it to you, Bartleby, because you're at the front.
We ran into troubles in the tunnels. Filthy in here, don't you think?
Oh, filthy and completely and utterly stenchy. It smells very much like somebody has done a poopery in here. It's so foul. Have you got my stuff?
Yeah, let's make this as quick as we can. Jacob, I call backwards to obviously who Jacob is.
Yes.
Hengist
remembers he was Jacob.
Hengist has a piece of paper in front of him that says, when Bartleby says, Jacob, hit me.
I am Jacob.
He's just got Jacob with an arrow, so if he could read, it would be pointing at his chest.
Jacob, get the stuff so Captain doesn't punish us. We can get out of here.
On it.
Whilst this is going on, Gulliver wants to keep an eye on. He wants to get off the stuff, of course, because but he wants to keep an eye on these three, and he's looking for. He wants to make an insight roll if he can to see whether or not they're at any point they stop believing what's happening and all of a sudden become suspicious.
So the two people at the back are actually clothed in some kind of guild house tunic. It seems to be like an overflowing goblet on their chests, and they seem to be stood with the lanterns. The lanterns are on sticks, and they look smartly dressed. You also notice that they both have daggers at their side, and Bartleby, at this point you need Hengist, I presume you're going to start pushing one of the crates off. They're too big to lift, but you might be able to push one.
Yeah, so he would move to the one nearest the Clarence, and he would sort of like wiggle it a little bit to start getting a bit of this gap in between so he can push it.
Yeah, okay then. So roll your advanced ungroup. Roll your brawn roll for me.
Finally, I've made a roll.
Yeah, and you sort of like quite easily push it off, and the guy comes sort of like with his tissue over, sort of like watches you, and he sort of like turns to you, Bartleby, and he says, "Fine man there, a lot of strength in those bulging muscles. Is he up for employment?"
Well, you'd have to ask the captain. He's first mate there for obvious bulging reasons.
Oh, yes. Well, Sid always had a good eye for first mates.
Yeah, indeed. Turning towards Hazra. Tango, are you gonna help?
Please don't tell me you've got a can of Tango on your desk.
I'm waiting for him.
I wish.
Now.
Yeah.
Sorry, sir. I will be long now, and I'll notice how Hazra's done it. How Hengist did it, and he will do the same thing, but he will try to augment with lump hefting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take that. Yeah.
So that's going to be. I've got an augment button somewhere, haven't I? So click my token, augment. My skill is 36. Sorry, there we go. So submit that. So it's going to be 8% on top of this.
Yeah. So add it to your temporary, because remember
Yep.
everything else will change.
There we go. And
Yeah, you sort of like
Yeah.
think pig, and you sort of like push it, and it does move, but just slightly. And the merchant sort of like looks at him and looks back at you, Bartleby, and says, "I think you can keep Tango yourself. Yes, not the most sturdy." And Angus, you sort of like walk back, and
A little bit of a swagger.
yeah, and sort of like push it. Are you both going to push it off now together? Because then you can.
Yeah, why not?
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, what was your skill? 59. So augment it with 59.
Oh, I was waiting for Hazard to
Oh,
do-
sorry, is that me augmented it? Sorry.
No, yeah. So you've got 59 skills. So just press the augment button. So Hengist.
Mine's 51 actually is mine.
But-
There we go. It was 59. Oh, because a lump hefting as well. Sorry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, I got rid of that. 1 sec. So augment.
It might go up to 12.
59.
Yeah, 12. So you can add 12 Hengist as you come back. And
And as I stand on Tango's foot,
yeah, and what happens is that you push it together, but your push is slightly more than Hazraz's push, and the crate goes this way, and it sort of like flips off the side. Can somebody make a D100 roll? And that skill is still 62. Yeah, and it doesn't tip over. It just sort of like pushes off to one side, and this merchant says, "Be careful!" And he sort of like looks at you and says, "Who are these people?"
Hazra will mutter to Tangus under his breath, "It's a bit like rowing a raft, isn't it?"
it can be.
He looks at you, Bartleby. This merchant looks at you and says, "We will take it from here."
Before you do, just got to make sure, since Captain isn't here delivering, what was your name exactly? He gave us a name. I want to know if you're the right person, not a thief.
My name?
He said he had a name, might be real or not. It's this.
My name is Clarence Floss. And you are?
Casey. This is my crew here, and I don't know why I'm speaking. First mate should be speaking. He knows the plan. I'm glaring as hard as I can at Hengist.
And I say glaring deceit roll, please.
Thank you. Could I use my last point of luck to reroll?
Yeah, by all means. Fingers
Good
crossed.
Good lies. Good lies.
Slightly better lie.
And he sort of like looks at you and he says, "I have not seen you before." And at that point, the two guards at the back, holding the lanterns on their sticks, sort of like reach round and grab hold of their daggers, and sort of like look. The merchant almost like takes a cautionary step back and says, "Who are you again?"
Name's Casey. Of course you ain't seen me and you wouldn't know me. I guess a lot of the crew, they got some rather invasive fungus growing on them. So when he came to port, Captain got a bunch of us, and I don't know why I'm talking. Again, that's why he brought me on the crew.
So deceit roll.
Absolutely.
It's now hard. He sort of like turns round to you and he says, "I don't think you're telling me the truth."
If I was lying to you, then these crates right here wouldn't be filled with the goods you asked for, right? they be filled with something else. You can take a look. Have one of your boys take a look.
And he sort of like looks round and says, "Gentlemen, check the crates." And he sort of like takes another step backwards. And these two guards sort of like prop their light sources up, and one comes to this one and one comes to this one. So this is the what was your role for your conceal?
6, wasn't it?
6, yeah.
Just while this is going on, Azra's going to just look at Hengist and say, "Boss, are you going to let them do this? What about the captain? Well, you'll have to answer to him. Why are you not helping?"
And he says, the one, as you're saying that to Hengist, this guy comes over to the crate and says, "Sir, this one's been opened," like that, and we will have some initiative, please.
I thought the plan was for you guys to make initiative happen quickly. That's why.
I know it says stone
Oh,
golem.
sorry.
I know it says stone golem, but he's not really. I need a D10. 8 plus 4. Hang on, where's is 12? And D10 for these.
Well done, Bartleby. I'll say it. Well done. You did it. You gave a valiant effort there.
Thank you.
On your own as well.
You definitely need something about. Somebody needs to take up deceit. I think 8, 13. 13. Okay then. So let me just rearrange everybody. Bartleby. Bartleby, what's your
11.
11. What's yours, Hazra? Your
More than 11.
I can. What's?
I'm muted. Sorry, 11. Sorry, my bonus is 11.
All right, so you'll both go at the same time. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, and so that's how it's going to do. So, Gulliver. So this guard says, "This one's been opened, sir," and we go straight into combat. Gulliver, what would you like to do?
Gulliver wants to start moving, and he's going to be moving up to this guy.
Yeah. So yours is a movement, and 15 is you, Hazra.
Hazra is going to act confused, but then draw his spear in the same motion as if he's unsure of what's happening in the hope that this might right itself.
Okay, sorry, say that. I was just checking on something. You want to do what?
You weren't even listening. I'll draw the spear.
You go ready your spear. That's brilliant. Okay, then, Bartleby.
I'm going to do a prayer. I'm going to do a prayer. Punish the wicked and make sure the sinners will not get away. Pointing my prayer mind at the stone golem, the main merchant guy.
Okay.
Clarence. Yeah. And here is my roll. Fail.
So you sort of like about to cast it, and you suddenly see something out the corner of your eye, and sort of like flicks round and it ceases your attack. Your spell doesn't come off because this guy right next to you has moved to engage you in combat on 13. Gulliver on 13 as well. This one engages you in combat as well. And then on 12, on 12, the merchant acts, and he sort of like looks at you, Gulliver, and sort of like waves his hand like this, and he says, "Think not." Willpower check. In a second, let me just roll his 67 is.
Have we had enough on the barge from alligator combat to not have any effects from?
Oh yes, yeah. You not. You won't be fatigued. He gets 65 out of 67. Willpower check.
65 out of 67.
Yeah. Yeah. So he wins, does he not? I think. Yeah, because he's got 67, and okay. And all of a sudden, you seem to be in a state of confusion. You're not too sure what you're doing. You can act in self-defense until the spell ends. If anything actually anything threatens you or attacks you, then the spell will be broken. You, my good friend sorcerer, have been
sorcerers.
I'm trying
Bamboozled.
Well, yes,
God.
you have been befuddled by the merchant. Just a general folk magic spell, nothing impressive. Hengist, you're up on 9.
Hengist is going to move into combat with that guard.
Okay.
Or
Yeah,
steward, or whatever you want to call him.
brilliant. So that's the end of the first turn. We're now coming to second turn. Gulliver, you can act in self-defense. You won't be able to escape combat unless you want to try to evade out of it.
I'm in combat with him, aren't I?
You're in combat with the his combat guard at the moment.
Right. Is he engaged as well, or
The merchant.
yeah?
Well, he's close enough because you moved. I think you moved right next to him, didn't you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm just going to defend if.
Again, if anybody attacks you, yeah. Okay, Hazra, you're up on 15.
Difficult choice, but what I'm opting for is I want to.
Oh, please chuck the spear.
I was going to.
There's 4 targets.
What I'm going to do, I'm going to instruct myself between Bartleby and this guy here and make myself and while I'm doing that, I want to yell at this guy to divert his attention away from Bartleby.
Okay, Bartleby, you're up on 15.
I'd like to request from my goddess to give me bravery and protection in the form of this exhorted miracle.
Yes, shields.
And does goddess love me? Here's the roll.
No. Well, see, if you fire shock spells using Amriel's Grace on a crocodile, what do you expect?
She's making me fight my own battles and be stabbed by my own knives.
Yeah.
They're all the goddesses' creatures.
Okay, then. This is 13. This as Hazra's moving up, the one that used in front of you, Bartleby, takes a swing at you.
Stab me.
I'll stab you. His combat skill is 34, so pretty pathetic. But gets an 18, so will hit.
I don't have any actions to do anything.
Okay then. So
Stab me.
I'll just stab you then, and that's absolutely fine.
Right in the face.
He stabs you in the 4.
Oh, that's my left leg.
No!
And
Just a scratch. I've had worse.
I'll be getting you, boy.
it's 1d4, isn't it? Yeah. Plus
I think
1.
so.
A dagger's a 1d4 plus 1.
1. Yeah, that's what I thought. 3. He does 4 points of damage.
It brings me to a 0 on my left leg.
Okay then.
I need to roll endurance.
Yes. Let me just because 0 hit points or less. So my original attack roll was 18. So you need to roll your endurance.
Nope.
You
There goes
failed
the
that.
leg.
So yeah. So he whacks it in, and you just feel your leg give way. There's a slight scream as Bartleby goes prone on the floor. You sort of like come up, Hengist, as you're coming up, but this other guy takes a swipe at you, Gulliver. His skill's 34 still. Oh, gets a 2 crit.
I'll use a point of luck to have you re-roll that.
Okay.
Do you know when you posted that thing about re-rolling and making characters?
33 out of 34.
It gives a subtle hint, Hazra.
So he does hit. You can defend if you wish. You can evade if you got an action.
24 chance. What's he armed with?
A dagger.
I'll try my evade.
Okay. Take an action point and invade. Oh, so close. So close. This is coming in.
I'll use a point of luck to re-roll it.
You can't because it's all the same.
All right.
It's the same thing.
Wow.
4. This is coming into your 4.
Left leg.
Oh, we're doing legs times 5 points of damage.
Okay, so that's taking it down all the hit points, and then I've still got 3 left.
So are you at minus? Are you between 0 and negative? So yeah. So you need to roll an endurance roll against my original thing, which is 33. No, and he whacks yours as well. You're out of the befuddled spell because I've taken an action on you, but your leg gives way and you are prone. Yeah. So at that point, the merchant uses his action to withdraw from combat on 12, and Hengist, you're up on 9.
Can he disengage even though I'm prone? Was he in combat with me?
You're not in combat with anybody now. You're
Right,
prone.
okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's okay.
Hengist, you're up.
So Hengist's just going to draw his dagger.
Okay, cool. And therefore, we're going to round 3 for anybody who's got actions left. Gulliver, you're on 17. If you've got any actions left.
So I'm just prone.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get up then.
Okay then. So you get up on 17. Hasra, do you have any actions left?
I do indeed. And seeing this man take down Bartleby, his friend, he's going to go into a rage and he's going to thrust his spear forward at him.
Cool. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. Special hit location damage.
Special will be choose location, and he's going to go. I know he can't do. Yes, he can. Sorry.
Yeah.
Choose location.
It's only a crit. It's only a crit. It's when it's a missile
ranged.
weapon.
That's
it's
right. Yeah. He's going to go abdomen, and damage is going to be 6.
6. Abdomen. 4. 1. Okay. Yeah, he's still up. And Bartleby, do you have any left?
I don't have any actions.
And I don't have any actions. Hengist, do you have any actions?
Hengist has 1 left.
Cool.
So Hengist is going to attack this guard in front of him with his dagger.
Nice.
69 on a 91.
Yeah, he's got no actions left, so I need special hit location damage.
So I'm going to use special is going to be press advantage. Hang on, I've got to double check that. What is that now? It's been so long since I've used it. So you're going to be on the defensive and you cannot attack next turn.
Yeah.
And then you want a damage roll for 4 points of damage.
I need to know.
Oh, sorry, yeah. I forgot to do the application.
Yeah, please.
There you go, it's in his abdomen.
Excellent. How much? Sorry?
For 4 points.
4 points in his abdomen. That takes him down to that. Do I need to do any roll or anything for your...
Press advantage? Don't think so. Attack pressures his opponent so that his foe is forced on to remain on the defensive and cannot attack on their next turn.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So that's the end of the round. So we're back up to the top. We're round 2 now, turn 1, and Gulliver, you're up.
So Gulliver wants to start casting a spell. The spell he wants to cast is the following.
Right. Hold fast. Yeah. Are you 15 meters? Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
How many turns is it?
2.
2. Excellent. So Hazret, you're on 15.
Again, I'm going to take a swing at this guy. He's so annoyed that it didn't kill him the first time, so here we go.
Oh, hang on. What did you do on me?
A spear thrust.
Oh yes, so he gets a 9 on his roll, which isn't a critical. So you will actually, we both succeed, but your weapon's bigger than my weapon. I would have thought. So I will take half damage. So I need a hit location.
Yep.
And damage. No special.
No special.
Yeah,
that's right. So 2.
2.
And your damage.
This is in his leg. Yeah.
Will be. Are you rounding up or rounding down?
I think everything always rounds up. So 4.
So 4. Yeah.
4. Where was it? His 2.
Yeah, his right leg.
4. Okay. Yeah. You sort of like shove your spear in his in towards his leg, and he managed to almost like deflect it with his little dagger, but it still slices through his armor. Yeah, and sort of like whacks his calf or down his thigh. Bartleby, you're on 15.
Do I have any penalties to roll my exhort skill from prone?
Yes, it will be 1 level harder.
I'm gonna do it anyways. I'm gonna ask for my goddess to keep me safe.
Okay.
And
yeah.
I got a formidable.
Yeah. So that will knock off your points, and that will
on my temp armor.
That will put on. So you're still on the floor. You're still prone.
Yeah.
But you've got.
I look really shiny. Bathed in moonlight.
I'll put you in radioactive. Brilliant. And
Thank
you. Then this is the one that's trying to attack you, Hazra. But he misses. And this is the one that's trying to attack.
So the one that's attacking Hengist can't, because I used press advantage last turn.
All right, yeah.
So it's on your next turn. You can't attack me.
So yeah, so he'll just wait to defend. This guy moves his movement, and he goes down the corridor. You can see him quite clumsily trying to climb a ladder. And Hengist, you're up.
So Hengist will attack this guy. 19 over a 91.
Yeah, so let's he gets his chance to defend. 34 out of 34. He's not got any effects on him, hasn't he?
No.
No. 34 out of 34. So yeah. So are you attacking with a dagger?
I am, yes.
Yeah. So he parries the blow, and no damage is taken. And we go back up to the top of the round, and this is turn 2. Gulliver, you're up.
So Gulliver wants to release his spell on this dude.
Which the one climbing the ladder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he wants to cast it, and he'll summon up these global water, chuck it to try to hit him, so that when he's got his hands on the ladder, it sort of like hits them and holds it onto them.
Yeah, go for it.
So my spell, I've linked it already. Have you still got it linked, or do you want me to relink it? Or is he out of range?
I think he's out of range. I think your range is 15.
Oh, I didn't know what his movement was.
Yeah, so he's now he's out of range unless you want to move forward some. It's up to you.
If I move forward, I won't be able to cast.
Oh yeah. Oh, you can use can't you walk your movement while holding a spell? Oh no, you didn't hold it, haven't you? You're just casting it. So you can cast it at the person next to you if you wish. The one next to Hengist.
No, that doesn't work for me. I'm going to drop the spell and head after him.
Okay.
What, has he got any light or anything?
Well, the light is on either side because they left their lanterns propped up. So I think is your movement reduced because of your gammy leg as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but you can go hobbling after him. That's not an issue at all.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay then, so work that out then, and that'll bring us to you, Hazra. I think
once again, yes, indeed. Once again, he will thrust his spear.
Cool. Yeah, so I need. He's got no actions left, so I need special hit location and damage.
Okay, special again. He'll go abdomen.
Choose location.
Damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, choose location. Sorry. And damage is gonna be 2. Oh no.
Yeah, you sort of like whack it into his stomach, but he seems to glance off some kind of leather. And Bartleby, you're up on 15.
I can't stand up because my leg, so I'm going to pray for a quick healing on my leg, target that leg, and here's my roll.
Yeah. So that what's it heal? Will it?
It should bring it, because this is still a minor wound, right?
Did it drop below 0?
No, it is 0.
Yes, so a 0 is a serious wound.
Oh, my bad.
A minor wound. The way to think about it is a minor wound is when you are positive.
Gotcha.
And then serious is 0 or less. So you can choose another action because
Could I do a heal wound instead?
Yes.
Which is a serious? Okay.
Yeah.
So that would be this one, and my roll would have actually been hard.
So that would heal
that
up to it. Yeah. Okay then. The one in front of you hasn't got any more actions left. The one in front of you, is he still? Is this his?
No, it was just one. It was just one turn, so he can attack this turn. If he wants.
Yeah, I'll certainly do that. Oh, he gets 100.
So don't forget to put a tick in there.
Hengist is gonna try and. Am I gonna try and parry that?
It's up to you.
Yeah,
Though for 100.
he's gonna try and parry that one.
Okay, go for it.
Yes. Oh, that's just poetic.
If anybody out there's doing maths, what are the odds? Oh.
Well, the way I've been rolling tonight, it's probably quite likely.
Well, it's actually 1 in 10,000, isn't it? Nice. So he's sort of like,
As well.
he's sort of like a with his knife dagger. You sort of like
He tries to match the mirror with his own mirror. Yeah.
And you both look pretty. Luckily, nobody's looking in your direction for that.
Oh, I won't tell the bard that later. It's okay.
Yeah. That's the guy finishes climbing the ladder and disappears out the top. And Hengist, you're up.
Angus is going to attack this time.
Cool.
And hopefully not get a fumble because I won't get a tick. No, it's a success with a 33.
Yeah. So you have special hit location damage.
So special is going to be choose location, and it's going to be abdomen.
Yeah.
Because we hit there once, and he gets quite a good roll on a 6.
That will 5. That'd take him to negative hit points. His endurance is 46. He fails that, which means he's got a serious wound there, which means he will fall unconscious. So he's out of it. He falls unconscious to the floor. Right. Okay then. Gulliver, what's going to be? Do you have any actions left for turn 3?
Yes, I want to follow this guy on 3.
Okay then.
And then I want to buy an action at the end of 3 and use another movement, see whether or not I can close the distance.
Yeah, so you'll probably be able to climb up the ladder by the end of that. Hazra, on 15, you'll be on 15 if you've got any.
Yep. Again, I'll take a swing at him. I want to finish this guy.
Yeah.
So again, choose location, abdomen. Might as well stick with what I know. And damage is going to be 9.
Ouch! Yeah. That is.
That's the max, isn't it?
That is the max.
9.
He's seen Bartleby on the floor, and he's seen him mess around with this guy he could have taken down in no time. And it's like,
Bartleby should swoon more often.
Yeah.
I'm a professional damsel in distress. You've all saved me.
Yeah, it's a major wound, and he fails his endurance roll, and you just sort of like whack your spear in, and he sort of like clutches it, drops his dagger and clutches onto it, and you just quickly maybe twist it a bit, and then
as I say, nobody puts Bartleby on the ground.
and just slides to the floor, deaded.
Hindsight, I should have been using selfless, augmenting with selfless protector while doing that.
Yes, that would have been good actually.
It would have, yes, exactly.
That would have been. Right, Gulliver, roll your streetwise skill for me, please. Yeah, so you get to the top, and you see this guy sort of like going round a corner, but once you get there, he's nowhere to be seen at all. Okay, I'm aware that it's 11 minutes past 10. So, what would you all like to do at this point?
I think with well, unless anybody else wants to go.
But my thought was destroy the goods now being found out and try to follow the The guy that's got away. We know who he is.
We know who he is. We know he's a merchant, so we can just go to his shop later on.
But I do think we destroy these goods. We don't leave anything of money here.
And hide the bodies.
We've got some torches on. We can just drop them in the boxes.
Yeah, so you sort of like take your time to sort of like open the boxes. This other one that you didn't have open actually contains what appears to be ceramic jars of spices. They're one of those things that as you take the tops off, they're all different colours. But they look almost quite exquisite and something quite nice in them. And so you can probably dispose of these bodies into the sewer if you wish and just push them downstream. Is that what you would like to do?
Feed the fish.
Feed the crocodile, the alligator.
Yeah, and
we could sprinkle some spices over them as well.
And I think what would be better is that we start off with the merchant at the next adventure, and because actually you're going to have to do some legwork to find out where his shop is, etc. So that would be a nice thing to start at the next adventure. And go for it.
I was just going to say, but we have kind of half succeeded, I think, because we have although we've let Clarence get away, we've stopped the transfer of goods, which is going to hit Sniffer in his purse anyway.
Do you know what I wanted to do, and I was tempted to do it, was say, Sniffer says hello.
And stab
it's
it.
Like a double thing.
Well, what you sort of like get rid of the bodies into the sewer and burn the contents of the crate or smash them, etc. So they're totally and absolutely ruined, and sort of like you start to make your way back for a well-earned rest. You're very tired, your magic points are out, some of you might have some little wounds that need to be done, and as you go back to your abode to rest, there's almost like a change of scenery, and the scene changes from you all parting and going to your houses to a rather small room that is quite elegantly furbished, and Sniffer is at his desk making off inventory and totting up how much money, and there's a slight knock at the door, and somebody comes in that you haven't seen before, slick back hair, rather pointy nose, and comes up and almost like says something, and Sniffer sort of like suddenly gets up, pushing his chair back, and sort of like grabs the pen the quill he was wearing and smashes it down onto the sheet of paper with the money, and he sort of like looks at the guy and he says, "All of it?" And he says, "Yes, Master Sniffer, both crates." And he just sort of like fumes for a while, and then he turns to this beaked nose assistant and just growls through him at him through his teeth and says, "Get out." And the guy turns and he opens the door and walks out and gently closes it behind him. And Sniffer sort of like looks round, and you notice that behind him is a window, and he seems to be looking out onto a whole load of housing, maybe the Sums, maybe somewhere in Lindo, and he looks out and he just whispers very threateningly and very quietly, he says, "This is not the end." And we will...
I'll get you, good little doggy too.
And we will end the episode 4 of Shutting Down Sniffer. There, well done, people. Some lovely boating skills, and final combat, very nice, wonderful befuddle spell coming out, and we will pick up next time, I'll feed into the adventure this Clarence, and people can do legwork and everything, and then we'll be moving on. Now, I think there's no session next week, is that right?
I'm not around next week.
Yeah, that's cool then. So that'll give me enough time to organise the next part of the adventure. But I will put in a bit about Clarence, so you can do it in the legwork section. And we've had 4 sessions, I think. Yeah, is that right? 4 episodes. Mm-hmm. So that'll be, and I'll give you an extra. The final session, instead of being 2, it'll be 4, because you roughly did it. Maybe not in the most elegant way, but you did. So it'll be 2, 4, 6. So it'll be 10 altogether. For most of the Hengist, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for you, won't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And 10 and 6. So add those to your experience points. Well done. And we'll see. Just to let you know, I thought the alligator, after being blasted a couple of times, that they're not. If it was Dungeons and Dragons, it would just come back to do the combat. But I ruled. It's not good. It's not
survival, isn't it?
Yeah. So brilliant. So yeah, I'm looking forward to making my adventure reflection video tomorrow. Well, I'll tell you how I thought it was going to go, which will be really interesting. And don't forget that all my adventure notes will be available on my website for a bargain price. Do you guys have any announcements that you would like to make?
No.
Happy Christmas.
Yes.
Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
So there'll be no Mythras next week, but I will be streaming something in the afternoon and evening. So thank you so much for coming along and joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed the party shutting down Sniffer. That was the end, episode 4, and the final part of that module. Please do come back next time, and don't forget to share it with your friends and family. That sounded wrong. Anyway, have fun. Okay, and until next time, I hope that all your posed roles give you a well-earned success. And we will see you all later. See you later, people. Bye.
Bye.
Darth says Merry Christmas. Happy New
Year, Darth.
Bye. Bye. Ching. Wait.